What's up, y'all? It's Izzy and we are still inside because I figured it's a scorcher out, so why go torture myself today? But I'm gonna go ahead and get out of the way another video in the So You Think You Want to Build a Skoolie series for this week, and that is furniture. And how do I build it? Uniqueness? What? Creativity, brain ideas, where are they? How do I build custom furniture for my bus? Well, I'm not gonna actually tell you step by step how to do things because I don't know what you need. I don't know what you need. I have specific needs, and when I build those things, they're gonna be like tailored specifically for me. So it's kind of like when you go to a store and you get something handmade to fit you. It's just for you. I could give it to you. It might fit close, but it's not gonna fit exactly. So today I'm gonna talk about some tips that I have to maybe get your creative juices flowing so that you can start thinking about how to build furniture and well, maybe not how to build furniture, but how to go about creating furniture that will fit in your space, that is multi-purpose, multifunctional, and that you can use for your tiny house or your skoolie in this case. But it doesn't always apply to skoolies. Tiny homes, skoolies, and vans are all welcome this week because I'm not just excluding anyone to specifically focus on a school bus. So the number one thing that I'm sure a lot of you guys are gonna get mad at me for saying, because you're like, I've done this already, but you really need to think outside the box. And I had a teacher that used to do that, and oh my gosh, I hated when she do that. But it's really true. Like, you gotta think outside the box when you're doing things like this. You gotta go beyond the realm of normal. Like, furniture can't just always have one function in a school bus or in a tiny home. It has to have multi-facets, uses, and purposes, or if it's just a decorative piece, most likely, unless it's a small decorative piece, it has no purpose and it's gotta go. How do people come up with ideas for this multi-functioning furniture? Like, where does it come from? How? Where did they get it from? The biggest tip I have for you is to think about the cluster areas in your design. So if you are designing your bus, I think I posted that video yesterday. If you've already designed that, like if you already looked at the way that I designed things, you know that I have specific areas in my bus, and you will too when you design your bus. You'll have specific areas that are closer to one another, things that work differently than maybe anyone else's bus does. Then you got to think about where you're storing things that you're going to use for your hobby or in your workspace, and how that's going to function for you. If you need like a workspace that's always there, or if you'd be okay with like having a workspace that folds up and gets put away, or gets maybe even multi-purpose, like transferred into your kitchen when you're done, and that you're okay with like having to pack everything up and get it back out, which is probably inevitable in a tiny home. But you know, it's things like that you've kind of got to think about, like what are your areas that you can cluster together, what are areas that are being close together. Every inch of space is valuable space. Every inch matters, and so you've got to think about how you can milk as much as you can out of that space as possible. My next tip is go get some inspiration. So go watch some tours of tiny houses, of skoolies. See how other people have done things. See how other people function in the space. Find things that you like. Find things that you don't like. There's like a video, I'll link it down below. It's like, it has something to do with like unique, or either organization or storage or furniture in tiny homes, and I'll link that down below. That was very helpful to me. And then I watched a lot of like Anna Watt's tiny house videos. I will link her channel down below too, where you can go check out that playlist. I'll link the playlist actually. And I just thought it was really cool to see like her unique perspective, her unique turns on ideas that a lot of people wouldn't think about. I mean, even her indoor furniture can still be applied to a tiny house or bus van type setting, if you guys were interested in that. But I just think it's interesting to watch like the ideas. Like, that's where I get my ideas, is seeing like how other people have applied things and then thinking about how I could tailor that to my needs. And then also I like to watch the like multi-purpose furniture videos. So there's a lot of people now who are making like Murphy style furniture. So Murphy, like a Murphy bed, but you know, transforming furniture is basically what I'm trying to say. And if you watch the transforming furniture, it kind of gives you an idea of like how pieces can be multifunctional. And once you start thinking in that mindset, like I feel like it all kind of like waterfalls down. At least it does for me. I just think in order to be able to get your creative juices flowing, you need to have something to like start from, if you're not someone who can just like, because like I don't think anybody, there's some people that can do that, like if you're just sitting around, but it has to be like a moment, like a spur of the moment thing, like a thing that you're doing that like channels that thought that you're like, oh, I could put this and this together. But if you're watching those videos, then you're actively like opening your mind to seeing those things and seeing how things like that work. And so it's not like it's not a question in your mind of figuring out like every facet of it from then on. You know how some of the facets work, and now you just need to figure out how you can tailor those facets to fit your needs. And you could take something that was applied in a certain application, maybe like it was applied a way that something moved or was done that was applied in a kitchen, but you could see benefit in taking that and applying that, I don't know, like in a bedroom or something like that. And I feel like this makes no sense, but basically what I am saying is that the more you absorb, the more you look, the more you watch, the more you see how other people have done things, the easier it's going to be for you to kind of take elements of everyone's builds and multi-purpose furniture and all that and kind of pull from it and stitch it together into something that will fit you and your needs in your tiny home. And I did do that for some things, but some things, like after a while of just watching those videos and getting used to like thinking about how multi-purpose furniture could work and just thinking about furniture in general, it came like, I feel like it came really easy and naturally to me when I was working in the bus. And I like to challenge myself and things like that. So without further ado, I'm going to cut to myself. So my dad interrupted the last recording, which seems to be the theme of this week, and so let's just talk about what the video is actually about, and this is about me showing you guys some furniture. So before I even moved into the bus, I was already coming up with ideas for furniture that I could use in my current space, because I live in my basement, or my dad's basement, yeah. So I was thinking about things I could use in the current space that I could then like transfer to the bus later on. So one of the first concepts I came up with was this concept. It is an entertainment center, keyboard stand, and a patterning table, or just like a table, a desk in general, where you could do crafts or work at. So this is what, I'm going to get my handy dandy little pointer out here, but this is what the concept looks like. This is from the front. I don't like to do like that 3D rendering modeling. There's a software you can use. If I figure out what it is, if I remember what it's called, I'll put it here somewhere. But I just like to use Notability, which I talked more about that yesterday, I believe. But this is just something I feel comfortable with. Normally, I like to draw on grids, but the reason that I like this is because I can just draw a line and hold down, and I get straight lines or circles. I think there's other softwares that do that, but this is free to use, so I just use this one. So yeah, on to what I was saying. Let's take a little bit of a closer look at this. So I knew I needed some sort of like shelving. I wanted some sort of type of shelving here that would be used as like the entertainment center part, where I could store, you know, DVD players, DVDs, maybe a record player, records. So this place had to be hollow for a seat, since I was going to be using it as a keyboard holder as well. So the keyboard itself, I knew I had to make a box. So this box right here, I measured the dimensions of this part big enough to set the keyboard down into. And then I knew this section had to be free moving, because in order to play the keyboard, you know, your hands kind of have to be like flat-ish. So like I needed space basically to play my keyboard. And then on the main very top, I put a table, but of course, you know, I needed this to be like a very big table if I was going to be using it to make patterns or to craft on. So what I decided was to double it up. So it's two pieces of wood on top of each other with a hinge here, and then this would be able to fold out eventually and become a bigger table. So let's look a little bit closer as to what I'm talking about when I say become a bigger table. So there was going to be this part of the section here in the back that wasn't going to be part of the keyboard. So the keyboard would fit comfortably in this area here, and then I thought maybe in the back here I could have some little cubbies for pens and pencils, as I plan to use it as a desk in the future when I moved it into a school bus possibly. But I wouldn't be using it exactly as that at the time, but it could be other storage. So what happens here, if you can tell, there's the legs here for the table, but there's also a secondary leg here in the front. And this secondary piece here actually folds outwards. So this front piece right here is like doubled, and so then it actually folds towards the middle here and becomes the supports for this table when it folds out, and you can see that right here, if that makes any sense. So the front leg, the front facing facade that would be in front here, flips out towards the middle, becomes a brace or legs for this piece to flip out over and onto. And so then when you don't need that, it's stored away comfortably and you just have like a smaller piece of furniture. But when you want a bigger, wider table, you have that area. Now I've already spoiled a little bit, but this is what I decided to do in terms of the keyboard. So the little side bits I knew were on the front of this, I couldn't move with the keyboard as it went up, but this middle piece right here I could move with the keyboard as it went up. So that's what this is signifying here, as it folds up, and both pieces of the plywood would fold up as it went up. I thought even maybe putting like a little music holder in here too. That was just a side note. That's, if anybody was wondering what that is, that's why I have a question mark next to it too, because you know, I always question like, is that possible? Can I actually do that? Would it hurt my keyboard as it went back down? But since I knew that these had to fold freely outward, I couldn't detach this piece from this piece, so instead I decided to put another set of hinges in here and just fold this piece down with it. And then here it kind of gives you a little top view of what I was saying. So this piece here cannot be moved up with the folding apparatus, so it has to be stationary, but of course that other piece can be moved up, so moved up there. I don't know why I make all these little notes, I don't know, but I always include measurements when I'm working at mock-ups. So rather than spend a whole lot of time doing what I did before explaining things, I'm just going to show you some clips of my couch while I'm talking about it. So I did actually build the couch. If you would like to see me going in depth on how I designed the couch and how I built the couch, I think that I'm going to release the design video on it, because I already filmed one a long time ago talking about it. That will probably be trash though, and I'll probably redo one. But that will be coming out if you guys were curious to know that. I figured that it was better for you guys to see the monstrosity, because I designed this and it's a fairly common design. Like, this is a fairly common way that people, a mechanism that people use, like the whole slide out couch with storage underneath. I feel like that's been used 5 bazillion times in schoolies and vans, and everyone does it almost the exact same way. But with mine, I wanted to put a back on it, and then nothing was working like it was supposed to. I put screws in the wrong places, and it was all just like one huge gigantor mess. So this is kind of like how the mess turned out. Did it work at the time being for being able to sit on it? Yes. Could I pull it out? Yes, but it wasn't easy to do that, and then it wasn't easy to get it to push back in, and then trying to raise it up was just an utter complete nightmare that was just not possible. So putting it back together in the bus, I'm eliminating a lot of the things that messed it up in the first place and just fixing everything. So hopefully that makes a little bit of sense, and I'm not going to talk anymore about my disaster project. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. As always, if you have any questions, leave them in the comments below. If you have any furniture designing tips or any videos that gave you inspiration to design furniture, leave those in the comments below. Be sure to subscribe if you want to see more of my content. Tomorrow there will be another Skoolie build video coming out, and thanks for watching. Bye!